And now back to your regular programming.
If you speak better to yourself.
You showed up for like probably the dumbest conversation we've ever had on this show.
Let's have that smile again.
Tell me how that happens. Physically should not happen.
Relax.
If you say
Give me as well.
3 times a day, God will line it up.
He's just an absolute hack, and he gets his ass kicked by the teammates every week. It's just terrible.
Should Josh Allen have been the MVP? Should Pat Surtain have been the Defensive Player of the Year? We're going to discuss all of that on today's show after the NFL awards were announced last night. Before we get there, Sean, can you share with our listeners a quick word from Bet Online?
The biggest betting weekend of the year is finally here. Who's fired up? Who's already placed bets? Me! I am. And if you need some nice props, head on over to Bet Online. It's the world's most trusted betting platform, your number one source for online betting. Say you're not a team fan of the Chiefs. Say you're not a fan of the Eagles. You just want a prop that you can ride along in the Super Bowl. I got a couple for you. Saquon Barkley, over 2.5 receptions. Patrick Mahomes, over 1.5 touchdown passes. Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdown scorer. Those are all nice and easy. You could track along. Those are just gonna enjoy the game. You don't need to be a maniac like some of us that have huge spread deposits put on at BetOnline. Whether you're a seasoned fan, first-time bettor, BetOnline, that's where you need to be doing it. They're offering you everything and more to enhance your game day experience. Visit the website today and make game day action count a little bit more. BetOnline, the game starts here.
Thanks, Cam.
Yeah.
Hope he's enjoying the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
Josh Allen
good not joke.
won the MVP last night. It felt like there was like this weird sudden push at the very end. And I know that the playoffs had nothing to do with his resume, his case to win the MVP. This was decided during the regular season. He beats out Lamar Jackson. All the other candidates, they didn't have a shot. We knew who this was between. I kind of came down at the final wave of this that either direction was the right answer. I don't think that this is as divisive of a decision as everyone's making it to be. And I'm the king of picking a divisive direction and trying to make it a controversial topic. I love doing that. It's my favorite thing to do because I love getting into arguments with people. But I just don't feel, Sean, that this is a circumstance between Allen and between Lamar Jackson, who both had amazing seasons, who were both integral and important for their teams in different degrees, had amazing statistical runs and led in various categories at a historic rate. All of that. I don't believe that there was enough of a clear-cut separation point between the two of them. Now, a lot of people will tell you and try to make the case that there was massive separation for their cases to win the MVP. I get that. I'm fine with you trying to make that pitch, but I just do not believe that there was this much of an argument that needed to occur after the fact.
It was such a tight race, and the voters reflected that. Allen with 383 total votes, Lamar Jackson 362 total votes. It's split. That is as close as you could just about get when it comes to MVP voting in the NFL after we've seen years of runaway finalists where you're like, oh, that's it. That's our guy. That's the MVP. Now we got one that comes down to the wire. Everyone's losing their minds. Rightfully so. They all have an argument. Maybe you like Allen more than Jackson and vice versa. When it comes down to two quarterbacks that had such good years, neither of them are in the Super Bowl. Neither of them really did anything with their teams this year. Allen went one round further just to lose. Then I turn back to the regular season. What did one do more than the other? The only thing I can really project onto quarterbacks and make a non-quarterback stat into a decisive decision for this is wins, and the Bills won more games this year than the Ravens won.
Oh, I hate that argument. I hate that argument.
If
It's a bad
going
argument.
to whittle it down, then the one outlier is Josh Allen won 2 more games in the regular season.
I don't like that argument. I think that if you were to actually make the case for Josh Allen and why he won the award, and this was something that we brought up and joked about because it was perceived that Josh Allen was on a shit team that had no supporting cast. That was what kind of the late season push was, and that is hyperbolic. But the real way to frame this, Lamar Jackson's best season comes when Derrick Henry goes to Baltimore. Adding somebody as game-changing as Derrick Henry, albeit over the age of 30.
Mm-hmm.
Diverting that much attention away set up both of them to have great years, right? They'd set both of them up to have career seasons. Without Derrick Henry, is Lamar Jackson going to put up those same numbers? That's part of the argument. The other part of the argument is Josh Allen does not have the same level of supporting cast. This was supposed to be, and the whole narrative coming into the year was how the Bills were going to be hitting the reset button, and they were probably going to get knocked out early out of the playoffs, and Josh Allen was going to have to try and do everything. And he, at times, did do everything.
Yeah.
He had way less to work with at receiver than Lamar Jackson did. That, to me, is the only suitable debate that can be had. The QB wins thing, I hate using QB wins.
So do I.
As a stat for arguments like this.
It's the ultimate team game. It shouldn't come down to one player, but that one player is the most important player on the team when we look at it. Additionally, the Bills beat the Chiefs in the regular season. That was momentous. That was a massive win, and Josh Allen did it, on with his own accord, his own merit. He won the game on that fourth down, ran it into the end zone for a touchdown, just won the game. That was impactful for me. And additionally, to compare, though, Lamar Jackson didn't have any receivers down the stretch. He had Rashad Bateman, who finally and stepped up, but that was also based on Rashad Bateman's first 2 years of setting the bar very low for himself. So as little as supporting cast that I think people are trying to pitch Josh Allen as having, I think Lamar had just an equal amount.
There is a difference. Lamar had a way better.
Lamar had 2 tight ends. Allen had 2 tight ends. Allen had a rookie.
Are we just counting the number of players that he
players
had?
That we should mention. Andrews and Likely versus Kincaid and Knox. Like that
Andrews and Likely are better than Kincaid and Knox.
Oh, I think they're on
the whole
same
Ravens. No,
field.
they're not. The whole
Andrews had a
Ravens
bad
receiving
year.
room is much better than the Bills' receiving room.
Amari Cooper, Keon Coleman, Khalil Shakir.
Amari Cooper didn't do shit down the stretch. Keon Coleman's a rookie and had a couple of bright spots, but wasn't there. Mac Hollins had that one crazy big game against the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game, but that was about it.
Zay Flowers was hurt for the end of the season. He wasn't there contributing.
But outside of Zay Flowers, they still have other options to go to. Rashad Bateman's a better receiver than I think you're giving him credit for.
I disagree there. And then additionally, if we want to talk about Derrick Henry versus James Cook. James Cook had a career year. Great year. He was the
James Cook is not Derrick
Henry, but I also think
no one's scheming around James Cook the way they are Derrick Henry.
I think the Bills' offensive line was better than the Ravens' offensive line at times this year. Ravens' offensive line was great. Neither of them better than Philly, but it seemed like pretty equal supporting cast.
I don't think you think Lamar should have won it.
I entertained every conversation about Lamar winning it, but when it wouldn't surpass 11-5 Ravens versus 13-win Josh Allen and the Bills. 13 wins means something to me. It's more wins. I think it happens, but also I'll go back here. AFC East was weak. AFC East was kind of shit this year compared to the AFC North that Lamar was playing in. Bengals were better. Steelers were competitive. I think that Lamar may have won 13 games if he had to play Miami twice, had to play the Patriots twice, had to play the Jets twice. So maybe I'm contradicting myself. Maybe Lamar should have won it. It's a tough call.
A lot of goalposts moving.
Oh, yeah.
Offensive Player of the Year was Saquon Barkley. I don't think there's any debate for this, right? There was no debate that Saquon wasn't going to win this award. I don't think anyone was saying, oh, man, this should have been Jamar Chase. This should have been Joe Burrow. It is the least contested award out of any of them. He was unstoppable, and he's going to have a huge performance in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, he should have won it. I would have entertained halfway through the season when Derrick Henry was getting little MVP nods that he could have been in the running, but Barkley just caught fire. It's who catches fire at the end of the year. Barkley did so, and he even sat out a game to win it. That's how important he was. Phenomenal season, phenomenal year. And he's going to be laughing to the bank and laughing at a certain team that let him walk. He would not have won this award with that team. So good for Barkley. Easiest pick on the entire ballot.
Pat Surtain won the Defensive Player of the Year award, which it wasn't surprising, but it felt a little bit unexpected. The last corner to win it was Stephon Gilmore back in 2019. Overall, it's not an award that a lot of corners win just because most people aren't paying attention to what corners are doing. You pay attention to and you see guys like Myles Garrett hawk down quarterbacks and make huge plays. You see guys like Trey Hendrickson, load up on sacks, and Aaron Donald will put up the insane production in the interior, and you're seeing him make plays, play in and play out. But Surtain, probably one of the most unheralded guys in the NFL for how good in coverage he is. And it's crazy to think back to like how recently he was drafted to this point where he is already winning awards.
This felt like a great respect pick for me, whereas we've seen like the devaluation of total tackles and like Foye Oluokun going back-to-back years of being the tackle leader in the NFL and not getting any nods. It's fine. He wasn't getting a bunch of picks and sacks, but
being the tackle leader for me is an inflated stat.
Oh, come on. You need to.
Because how many times do you see in college guys have a crap load of tackles, but then you understand that, like, yeah, he's probably not the best linebacker.
I got you, but I still think that when I see somebody entering the Hall of Fame and they have 1,000 tackles, that means something to me.
That does mean something for the context of when you're making that pitch, but the inverse of that for tackle leaders is we're not going to go back and track all of the tackles that they had in a season, all 150 or whatever. A majority of those could be chasing guys from behind that are 20 yards downfield. Like their defense could just suck, and he just happens to be there all the time.
You want to make a new stat, in-box under 3 yard tackle.
Real tackles.
Real tackles.
Real tackles.
Gotcha. Cool. So some
Picks
analytics
at the PFF.
Yeah. Oh, God. They're already starting with their offseason and new stats and all that. I'm just seeing adjusted. I don't know how much adjusting a stat needs for it to fit your narrative. Adjusted is in too many of these stat numbers. Surtain, though, just awesome year. And there wasn't a big defensive end. There wasn't a Watt to take it away. Myles Garrett didn't have an insane year. Hendrickson was the sacks leader, not a linebacker that I felt like. I mean, maybe Bond, because
I didn't think Bond deserved it. I think just Bond was playing on a really good defense, his stats were boosted. He wasn't Jalen Carter was the best defensive player on that team.
He was Bond was not a better linebacker than Surtain was a cornerback, and I think that giving respect to Surtain,
I don't even know if he was the best linebacker in the NFL this year.
Oh, he did a little bit of everything, which I want a linebacker to be able to do. I do. I want a linebacker to force a fumble. I want him to try and cover. I know it's stiff-ass Zach Bond. I know. Somebody's going to – Kelsey versus Bond is just going to be like watching water basketball. It's a whole different sport.
Offensive Rookie of the Year goes Jayden Daniels, another pick that we're not surprised by. He was so freaking good this year. We've touted and hyped him up so often on this show. The way that he was able to elevate a team that had a really good defensive line, Terry McLaurin, and then a bunch of old-ass dudes, and that was about it. To get them as far as they did to the NFC Championship game, the way they finished the season wasn't sexy, but they were so explosive, so dynamic because Jayden Daniels was impossible to prepare for. And I think that he is obviously only going to get better. They're only going to find more weapons for him. They're only going to improve that defense, and it's actually going to get younger and more talented. The ceiling is super high. It's crazy to also think about the amazing performances by Brian Thomas Jr. and Malik Neighbors and Bo Nix and Brock Bowers. Like, it's crazy that none of those guys won the award. In any other given year, if Jayden Daniels doesn't exist, it could have gone to any of these. It probably would have gone to Brock Bowers if Daniels is just not on this earth, but he is. And he had one of the best. Actually, we already said this before. Jayden Daniels had the best rookie season for a quarterback ever.
The standards of the quarterback season have been raised as well, and that's why I think it's not unfair to say that. Additionally, the funny thing about this award was we knew at the end of September that it was going to Jayden Daniels. Like there wasn't anybody doubting at that point when he racked up his second offensive rookie of the week, and then by October it was just a lock. You just knew after the Hail Mary against Chicago, there was no real contest, and Bowers had an incredible year. Nix exceeded expectations. There was really good rookies all across the board, and I think we're going to look back at this class and say, wow, that was one of the really great ones. But Daniel's separating himself. I'm going to take some Twitter lingo here. Next up into the top 5, this guy is. Is
it Twitter lingo?
Next up, just saying next up? Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
But yeah, he's next up. He is going to quickly ascend into that elite category in the NFL. You should be excited to watch this guy. You shouldn't keep on letting opposing fans invade you Commanders fans, show up to the games, please. It can't just be 3 diehard dickheads from Arlington. It needs to be people in the stands
Tailgate Ted and his buddies.
supporting. Shout out to Ted, man. He gave it his all this playoff run. He did. He's a great dude. He feeds people at the games. He's all, pardon me, all of it. But Daniels also very unsurprising. Knew it from the beginning of the year.
Defensive Rookie of the Year, this list is kind of disappointing. There was a clear winner from the jump. I don't know how Chop Robinson got on here. This kind of depicts how bad this was for like a year for defensive rookies.
Yeah.
Chop Robinson had 6 sacks. It's a good number, but is that really Defensive Rookie of the Year worthy? Is that really worthy? In any other year, that's not getting onto this list. Cooper DeJean had an awesome season. Braden Fisk was super disruptive for the Rams. Quinyon Mitchell was locked down in coverage for the Eagles. Jared Verse winning the award was the no-brainer in this spot. It was one of those, we're coming into the night. If I didn't even pay attention and we just sat down to record and I just out loud said Jared Verse, I would have been correct. Verse had multiple games this year where he took over games. His speed to power, his physicality, the way that he plays the position, it is in the realm of what you need to do as a defender, as a rookie, to take that next step to eventually win Defensive Player of the Year. I think that Jared Verse is eventually going to be consistently in that Defensive Player of the Year conversation, like TJ Watt, like Myles Garrett. He is that freaking disruptive.
I love him. He is exciting. He was exciting and strong at Florida State. He was just a great pick. And L.A., Joe Caniglio, what a developer. What a guy.
Oh, you're giving
I'll give him
Coach
credit.
Caniglio, you're just going to give that to him?
A guy that I yelled at on the field as with no right or reason that should have probably made me run laps or put me through some torturous workout has the Defensive Rookie of the Year. Jared Verse is a stud. He's strong. He's fast. His bend is great. He plays aggressive. I love that. He's not a passive defensive end that's just trying to look sweet and get a big sack. No, he does everything. Him and Fisk are going to be an absolute nightmare in the NFC West for years to come. Deserving. Every time I watched the Rams game this year, Jared Verse stuck out to me as a rookie on the defensive line. It's easy to get buried down there. He didn't. He elevated. Happy for him. It was a good award, and he's an exciting player that I'm excited to keep tracking.
Yeah, I've been a big Jared Verse fan since he first got to Florida State in that first game that he had against Will Campbell. Like, that was when I was immediately bought in, and I'm glad that he performed the way that he did this year. Former Albany guy. We almost crossed paths with him. We were off by a year, I think. The Hall of Fame announcements were also very divisive conversation. A lot of people are complaining about the new process for picking Hall of Famers for the NFL. I think this is on purpose. I think that they want to create another thing for us as fans to debate, which I'm fine with. I like arguing. I will repeat that over and over again. I like debating with people. I like being able to sit at the bar and get into a conversation with a random person over, was Eli Manning and Luke Kuechly worthy of being a part of this class and being first ballot guys? The guys that got in, Jared Allen, Antonio Gates, Sterling Sharp, Eric Allen. No brainers. They all made sense. They were all top of their positions at one point in their career. The conversation we do have to have, Kuechly and Eli Manning. Eli Manning should not have been a first ballot Hall of Famer. He should not have. His stats were tremendous at times. He threw a crap load of interceptions that took away from it, but he was never at one point the best quarterback in the NFL. He was never at one point a top 5 quarterback in the NFL. I don't even know if he was a top 10 quarterback in the NFL at one point, but he is one of the most clutch playoff quarterbacks of all time. He's one of the best performing Super Bowl quarterbacks of all time. That's going to get him in eventually. Might be 20 years from now, though. It's not going to be right this second. I do have a problem with Luke Kuechly not getting in because his entire career, he was the best linebacker in the NFL. There was not a drop-off from year 1 to year 8 that he was not the best linebacker in the NFL. And he smartly decided to retire early because he played linebacker like a dickhead, like he's supposed to, which is hitting people hard as shit. And when you hit people hard as shit too much, you got to retire a little bit early. Luke Kuechly played the game with the intensity that he needed to. He deserved to be a Hall of Famer.
Yeah,
bullshit.
He'll get in. He'll get in when it's
should have been a first ballot guy.
Here's what I'll say. You're spot on with Eli, not a first ballot Hall of Fame guy. If there was so much debate while he was still playing, that settles the score. Additionally, I think that the NFL making their Hall of Fame voting more like baseball is jackassery at the highest form. It's been 6 guys get in every year. 6. That's what you do. 6 is for rosters that contain 53 and 32 teams. 6 guys get in every year. Fair. That is fair. This BS where it's got to be at least 80% votes and 80% positive, and we're only going to let in 4 some year. That's bullshit. That is awful. That is awful decorum for the sport. Luke Kuechly, great player. All-decade team. Awesome linebacker. Did everything you're supposed to do. He didn't play long enough, though. He played 8 seasons. Not first ballot stuff.
If your argument is how long you played, that's not enough of an argument. We're not talking about performance. We're just talking about how long did you play. 8 seasons is a long career. It's 2 contracts.
That is a factor within the argument. And I'd like to throw shout out Sam Teets. He's listening to the show.
Wait. I pulled this up. So shout out to Sam.
You got the Urlacher.
Okay, yeah. This is a great comparison to paint the picture of why he should have been.
Oh, I think it shouldn't.
What?
13, what?
8 seasons for Kuechly, 13 for Urlacher. 1 Defensive Player of the Year award for both. 1 Defensive Rookie of the Year award for both. All 2010s for Kuechly. All 2000s for Brian Urlacher. 5 first team honors for Kuechly. 4 for Urlacher. 2 second team for Kuechly. 1 for Urlacher. 7 Pro Bowls for Kuechly. 8 for Urlacher. Played in 118 games compared to 182. Kuechly had 1,092 career tackles, while Urlacher had 1,361. 2 tackle crowns for Kuechly, 0 for Urlacher. Does not have the same sack production.
Oh, go ahead. No. Read out the numbers of sack.
Sack production, 12.5 to 41.5 for Urlacher. Different players, though. They were different players. They were different players.
But Kuechly did everything the right way and had the ferocity.
They didn't blitz him the way they blitzed Urlacher.
Is that his fault? 12.5 sacks is not first ballot stuff? No. 8 years? No. That is not indicative.
He's got more playoff tackles. He's got just as many playoff games. That's not really much of an argument on my end. But their stats are pretty comparable, and Urlacher was a first ballot guy.
How does Brian Urlacher have more interceptions? That stiff, no neck. How does he have 22 interceptions?
Who are you talking about? Wait. Brian Urlacher's stiff?
Oh, what is
he's
stiff?
Not.
His kid isn't stiff. If you think that it's an indictment on his kid,
no. Brian Urlacher could freaking move, man. You forget that he was a 6'4" safety before they moved
forward. He could move forward.
I'm gonna pull up some damn highlights. We're gonna pull up some damn highlights.
Now you're doing the Sean Anderson film eval here, going to the freaking clip farm. That's fine. Kuechly, insanely great talent at the linebacker position. But another person that was let into the Hall of Fame this year, Sterling Sharp, played 7 seasons, and he was the top wide receiver for those 7 seasons, got let in 20 years later. Kuechly played 8, and now you're playing Urlacher highlights. It's just going to fire me up. This is not going to help you prove your point here.
I don't know if these are great.
Look at that machine.
These aren't the type of highlights that I'm looking for. I'm trying to I want the game by game highlights. I want to see the broadcast footage.
NFL Rewind will have them.
Yeah, that's what Phil needs to get his face off the screen.
I want Phil.
I need to text Phil Matt and tell him to not shoot his FanDuel ad from as up close as possible.
Highlight videos don't need a big cinematic intro.
No, I want just. What kind of song do you think would be playing on?
It's Linkin Park. It has to be.
It's got to be Linkin Park. Look at this shit.
Okay.
Where is he?
Oh, look at Big Sexy.
Look at that. He can move. There's no stiffness there. Look at him get up.
That was his.
Look at him get up.
Joe, he intercepted that ball.
Look at this man move.
2 yards behind his starting point.
Look at that. Look at that. He took his head off, but look at that.
He was running straight ahead.
He's got a little bend to him.
Unblocked.
It's the pads.
Unblocked. Is that Aaron? Is he sacking Aaron Brooks? Give me a break.
Wait. This is what we call bend in the scouting industry. Wait. Let's see if I can slow this down the right amount. Let's see if they show it again. If you're coming down and you get it's
is that
if
he's
you're
already got an arm around him, Joe. He's
got the length. He's got the angle that he's tackling at. He's not tackling him straight up. He's reaching and he's bending to make the play.
Joe, that is about as tall as you could get as a linebacker at contact
fluid
points on a quarterback.
And athletic. He just bent the corner. Are you going to seriously we're not going to acknowledge that he just bent the corner on that play?
Joe, he's still running straight.
Look, he just bent the corner.
He bent the corner. Joe, he went straight and he took a 90-degree turn. There's no
his highlights
bend.
are going to be fired up. He used to hit the shit out of people.
Different game, man. Look how many bars are on his face mask.
We need a Brian Urlacher clone.
It could have
maybe Kennedy Urlacher is going to eventually be the replacement for him.
It could have been Kuechly. He didn't play long enough. It is what it is. He's super smart, cerebral. Nobody has a bad
5-season difference, and his stats were not far off from Urlacher's.
Yeah, but it's still a 5-season difference, Joe. And he was hurt for a good amount for the last 2. So yeah, you know what? No.
All right.
Kuechly, first ballot, no. Hall of Famer, yes. First ballot, we need standards.
At Joe DeLeone, at Sanderson Radio, at Hack City Pod. Tuesday, new version of the show. We're shifting back to going live. Not working at Yahoo anymore. Moved on to hosting full-time, which means we've got flexibility. We've got a lot more flexibility. We've got a lot more time on our hands. We're going to be building this show up. Every single week, we're going to be doing the Hack Bag. I wish I had the Hack Bag phone number in front of me. Do you have the Hack Bag phone number in front of you?
Of course I do, Joe.
What's the Hack Bag phone number?
201-834-4308.
I want you, the listener, to call in. We were doing this before. We were doing a weekly hack bag, but we're changing it. We are going to do it daily. We are going to be live at 4 p.m. Eastern time every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday for the foreseeable future. And if things go according to plan, we are going to ramp up and hopefully do these shows even more often. But at the end of the show, we're going to end the show with 2 hack bag questions every single episode. A voicemail or a Twitter question, whatever it is. Call in with your craziest sports take. Call in with your craziest thought across sports that's happening right now or in the past. Call from the bathroom of your office and let us know what the stall looks like. Call us with a very embarrassing memory that you need to get off your chest. Whatever it is, call in and tell us. We're going to play it on the show. We'll react to it. We'll answer it. All the good stuff. Anything you think I'm missing?
No, we got started getting real creative with the hack bag. Listeners are starting to get real great. Fast food, drive-through orders. Loved being on the blower for that. That's fun. If you need a sounding board, you got a problem, you got an issue, I think we're 2 very well-adjusted individuals to give you that advice. You know, you got a movie that you like, and whatever. Just call into the show, interact with the show. We want to get a lot of engagement going this off season. So we're excited for it. 201-834-4308. And if you're not already, Hack City Pod on Twitter to send in your questions or DMs. You could just start DMing us. That's how a lot of listeners get inundated with the show. So we are open for business.
Talk to you later.